Jacksonville Jaguars move to 3-1. 49ers fall to 3-1. It was 26-21. The Jags get the victory. Let's start with this because we've got plenty of time. Who cares? We weren't privy. It was Friday press conferences when the sign stealing discussion came out with Robert Saleh talking about Niners. So 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh describing a very intricate legal sign stealing operation from the Jacksonville Jaguars and Liam Cohen, and essentially the Sean McVay tree that they do a really good job of picking up tells. Which if we just change the word stealing and called it,
what is the distinction?
Tells.
Because obviously Spygate is illegal, sign stealing / recording is legal. Where's the line?
It's only where you record from.
Okay.
You can steal. You could pick up signals and
from
signs.
The stadium is cool. From practice when you're not supposed to be there,
not that.
Cool.
No, that wasn't Spygate. It was like where they had cameras in the stadium. They had cameras in the stadium at certain points where you're not allowed to, I think.
Okay.
But you can pick up signs now, like Michigan. You're not allowed to, be on Central Michigan sideline, or you're not allowed to buy tickets to the game and record from the stands. Like there's places where you're not allowed to.
It's one of those distinctions that I find very hard to care about.
The point is, it was probably much ado about nothing. So Saleh is saying they do a really good job, and what he's suggesting is they use all the information possible legally to know what he was talking about hand signals.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about on defense, it's not the hand signals to get the play in. It's when there's a motion.
Right.
Right. What is Fred Warner communicating to the nickel what the coverage is? And if you start to stitch that together between all 22 and especially on broadcast when you start to hear it, and you could pick up tells and know what the coverage is. So that's what Robert Saleh was saying. And it was like, I don't know if it was a little gamesmanship on his part to be like, hey, I know you're doing this. I know it's legal. Congrats. But we know you're doing this, and just like put some doubt into his mind. We might change our signals. We might not, so there's gamesmanship. And then after the game, Liam and Saleh got into it a little bit.
Well, yeah, Liam went up to him and was like, keep my name out your mouth.
That's what the kids say when they don't want you to talk about it.
It is. He seemed to sort of walk past him first and then come back at him. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember I'm pissed off at that guy, and started yelling at him and had to be like restrained by his own players and stuff. But it seemed like one of those ones where it's like, hold me back, quick, because if I get into it with Saleh, I'm getting my ass kicked. That whole conversation previously about like which head coach wins in a cage match type of thing. I mean, Saleh's not a head coach anymore, but in a cage match, my money's only going in one direction.
Did you post the picture of Saleh?
Yeah, jacked out of his gourd.
Completely jacked. Yeah. Liam feels like we got to get back to like the Royal Rumble 32 head coach rankings.
This is what I'm saying.
Like Saleh and Vrabel, are they in the finals?
Dan Campbell.
Saleh's not head coach anymore.
Right.
But
Saleh would be high in the rankings.
Vrabel.
Dan Campbell would be pretty high there. I'm just saying the only way Liam Cohen is surviving past the first round of that fight is if his sign stealing has been so sophisticated that he knows exactly what's coming.
I got to do it. The baseball analogy. The statute of limitations is probably over here. But in high school, we had a pretty elaborate
sign stealing, huh?
Sign.
This is calling into question your Hall of Fame status.
I don't think it is.
You're just a product of sign stealing?
This is why we're in the Hall of Fame, because we were so good at this. Listen, if you're the catcher and you're just going to show us what pitch is coming, if you're not going to hide it from the first base coach, if you're not going to hide it from the guy at second base, we might be communicating to the hitter when a curveball's coming. Okay, big guy? Okay? And we had our own little system. And so maybe I knew when a curveball's coming every now and again. Maybe we definitely knew the opposing coach's steal signs. Our coach was a genius. He was like, back in 82, this is the steal sign. Let's look for it. And then he changed it in 97. And so we knew when they were going to steal. So you pitch out, you throw them out. We may have known. Coach's been retired for a decade now, so we're not giving anything away. But it's all legal.
Yeah.
Sign tipping. It was all legal stuff. Anyway, Felt like a classic Jags game. What, they have 4 takeaways again, including Dennis, the Barbarian, Gardeck, with a forced fumble.
Peanut punch.
For the Jags. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
Well, this was a game of peanut punches. You had Dennis the Barbarian getting his turnover. Travis Etienne houses it right after a 48-yard touchdown. He had a big game again, explosive, big plays here or there. Fred Warner is now up to 18 career forced fumbles with his for the 49ers, which is a new team record. He passed Patrick Willis for all-time leader in 49ers forced fumbles now.
What a run of linebackers they've had.
Fred Warner also, did you see right at the end? Jags are taking knees. They've won the game, right? Trevor Lawrence does the whole, I'm going to take a slightly slow knee, to really bleed the clock. Like, steps back, and Fred Warner's like, oh, you're going to try that? I am going to leap over the pile and try and force the ball out before you've even put your knee down.
Injuring people.
He came pretty close to doing that.
Yeah.
Like, the punch was accurate, and Trevor Lawrence, credit to him, had a strong enough grip that, it didn't knock it out. But can you imagine? Those are the 2 plays I now want to see more than anything else. Fred Warner leaping the line to force a fumble on a kneel down, and Jalen Carter diving under the center's legs to intercept the spike. I want to see both those plays succeed at some point.
I needed intercepted spike, which would get overturned when they're like, oh, no, the ball went in
touched
between
the
your
ground.
hands.
Yeah, on the super slow-mo replay, it turns out.
Sorry.
It turns out this actually contacted the ground at some point, so we're going to take away one of the coolest plays in NFL history.
This felt like every other Jags game this year. Defense forcing turnovers. Travis Etienne with a long run. He had a 48-yard touchdown run in there, and under 200 yards passing from Trevor Lawrence. This is the Jags this year. They moved to 3-1. The defense, 13 takeaways, leads the NFL. What is it? The 4th straight game with at least 3. So all 3 games they've had at least 3. On one hand, it has been impressive, like the way they've been able to create havoc up front, the pressure that they've been able to create. Eric Armstead with a key sack in this game, in the revenge game. That's impressive. It also feels like, man, that's tough. That's unsustainable. Did they have 9 turnovers all of last year, and they already have 13?
Yeah, there was a stat where they had, in week 2 or something, they already had more interceptions than they had all of last year.
That's where it's really tough from an analysis perspective, because I'm like, I want to give credit to this thing. I also know that's going to be really tough to have 3 or 4 takeaways every single week. It's also tough to have another punt return for a touchdown, but that's what Parker Washington did, 87-yard punt return for a touchdown. That was as the Jags had this not in hand, but they were leading 14-3, 17-6. They get it to within 3, and then the Jags are up 20-14, and then the 87-yard punt return to make it a 2-score game late in the third quarter. So the Niners kept fighting to get back into it, but Jags hold on to get the win.
Yeah. Trent Williams had as many problems in this game as he's had in any game I can remember in a long time with Josh Hines-Allen, who, again, he's in that category of maybe he's not quite Defensive Player of the Year in any given season, but he's right behind that group. If you're good enough to cause even this aged version of Trent Williams those kinds of problems, you're really, really good.
Devin Lloyd, there was some stat from Next Gen Stats adding something like 50% win probability on his plays. He had 2 interceptions. One was him being in position, thrown right to him. Another one on a tipped pass. Also had a key pressure on the Brock Purdy sack. That's was pretty impact play in this game. Brock Purdy made his return, come back from the turf toe. So he played in week 1, missed 2 and 3, and he's back. So not to overrate just 2 games of Brock Purdy, something's going on in the middle of the field, man, with Brock Purdy, just not seeing the middle of the field. This is the 3rd interception, I believe. Just dead smack, middle of the field, intermediate level. He also, in the first interception, so he has 3 thrown right to defenders in the middle of the field. The other interception was just he has McCaffrey up the seam and overthrows him a little bit, gets tipped up, and it's picked. I know we've thrown the hospital ball word around for Trevor Lawrence on the other side. Purdy is late and blind over the middle. Quite a throwing blind and late over the middle right now, and high and just.
I don't want to be throwing blind.
You know what? With your eyes closed.
Yeah, it's a bad thing.
He's throwing
generally.
blind. I mean, he's like a short quarterback stereotype right now, where the middle of the field is just like a prayer.
Right.
And there's just some bad decisions there. I mean, you take those away, he did some stuff, right? I mean, Kendrick Bourne had a big drop up the seam. It's difficult with this group of playmakers, but the turnovers in the middle of the field have been rough.
It's 2 games now, albeit separated by injury, where it sort of felt, I mean, the first one I was kind of projecting and saying, like, it sort of feels like a guy who's trying to justify, oh, I got paid now. I'm getting paid this crazy amount of money. I need to go out there and show that I'm worth it. And whether it's that or if it's just he's pressing generally, knowing they need him more, knowing that they don't have this crazy array of weaponry because half of them are hurt, and whatever it is, the 2 games have been very similar in terms of he's still making the sort of the Brock Purdy good plays that are why he got paid in the first place. And they all look kind of the same, right? Which is the play's sort of dead. It's a busted play. Brock Purdy's extending and then finds a miracle, in the end zone somewhere. And whether it's a lob to a tight end nobody's ever heard of for a touchdown, or whether it's back across his body to receiver for a 2-point conversion, Jennings, they all look kind of the same, and those are a really important part of Brock Purdy's resume and why they do think he's worth that money. But now there's these negative plays in there that weren't necessarily there when he was playing, really good football, and those are definitely problematic. And if it's just a case of he's got less help now, then when those guys come back, you would imagine those go away. If it's now that he feels like, if it's something else, they need to identify what that is and figure out a way of getting it to stop, because, you can't have those negative plays and be like, Brock Purdy isn't that good. Whatever about how good is he, does he deserve the money, blah, blah, blah. He's not good enough to have those plays as well as what's going on.
A couple others. So, yeah, I think Brock Purdy's good. Just even when he was at his best, had some blips in the middle of the field. Yeah. That late game collapse against Minnesota a couple years ago, just something to keep an eye on for Purdy, who I still think is very good. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence did not get hit, so the pass rush watch without Nick Bosa.
I believe, the pass rush without Nick Bosa, I believe that as an entire defense, the 49ers had 1 pressure in this game. That's crazy.
So great pass protection from the Jags, and then if you were concerned about Nick Bosa and the residual effect of losing your alpha rusher and how that affects Bryce Huff, Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, and the rest of the defensive line, not a great start for that.
No. And look, Trevor Lawrence got rid of the ball reasonably quickly, but not he didn't have the 2-second flat average time to throw that Aaron Rodgers had this week. That is a massive concern for this 49ers defense. The first game without Nick Bosa, how do people step up? Do we still get pressure? Nothing.
Yeah. Other thing I wanted to mention, Travis Hunter had a 28-yard catch.
Great catch.
Would that have been overturned with a better view? Did they look at that? I couldn't tell.
Good.
That was a nice catch up the seam, though, for Travis Hunter.
But we're back to, people got healthy, so he barely played on defense again.
Yeah.
9 snaps or something.
And so the Jags, look, they're sitting here at 3-1. Defense is fierce right now. Playing the Chiefs next week, Monday Night Football in Jacksonville. I think it's going to be bumping in Duval. Bumping. Monday night. Yeah, man. Monday Night Football in Jacksonville. Week 5, a lot like Fred Taylor, 98, Jags. Week 5 against the Dolphins. Get ready next week.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos, and who are we to argue?